Hi everybody, thanks for joining the session today. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes before everybody else joins. But again, thanks for joining. Yeah, we'll be back in just a minute or so. Okay, hello and welcome to today's session. We'll be focusing today on Teams integration with iManage and with a system called CoFlow. iManage being the document and email management system that many of the people on the call today will be using, but also CoFlow, which is an end-to-end contract management solution. It also tightly integrates with both iManage and Teams. Essentially, CoFlow is providing an end-to-end contract management solution, but integrates with iManage out of the box. Today, you are joined by myself, Dan Gibson. I'm an account manager for Acertus. I've been working for Acertus now for 5 or 6 years or so, looking after our clients and helping from a document lifecycle point of view. So what tends to happen is a client will present some requirements to myself. I'll analyze the requirements and then provide the appropriate recommendation based on the portfolio of products that Acertus provide, implement, and support. I'm also joined by Matteo Pagani, Director at CoFlow. I don't know, Matteo, if you just want to quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So my name's Matteo Pagani. I'm a director at CoFlow Enterprise, and we focus on putting in implementations of process automation and reporting layers, matter management and contract management on top of iManage. So that's for users that are making use of iManage, and to really make iManage that little bit better from a management oversight and a management capability.
Thank you, Matteo. So just I guess a couple of house rules. In terms of any questions that you might have throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the chat box built into GoToWebinar. I'm happy to take any questions towards the end of the presentation. But yeah, other than that, I really hope you enjoy today's session. And yeah, I look forward to providing this presentation today. So just in terms of the setup, I'll take you through a few slides, sort of set the scene, then I'll hand over to my colleague Matteo, who will provide the demonstration. So just a bit of a background on Acertus. So for many of the people that are on the call today, you're already very much aware of Acertus, as we'll be looking after you from an iManage point of view. For those that don't know Acertus, we are document lifecycle solution specialists. So we have a portfolio of products that has been put together based on client requirements, and we focus in many different areas, including document and email management, which ordinarily our suggestion is iManage. We've been partnered with iManage now for 20 years or so, working with some of their largest corporate clients and many of their large law firm clients as well. We tend to provide solutions, so it's not just a case of providing a single system. We analyze and capture the appropriate requirements, and then we recommend the appropriate solution, which may incorporate a few different systems to meet the requirements of the business. And a big movement we're seeing at the moment, given that the majority of at least the Western world are all working from home, we've seen a real increase in usage of Microsoft Teams for collaborating across your team and across your company. So we wanted to put this webinar together to really focus on how we can bring Teams into your typical day-to-day workflows with respect to iManage. But we did also want to touch on how it integrates with CoFlow as well, because CoFlow as a system is providing the integration between iManage and Teams. So this is what a standard iManage Work solution looks like. So this is just iManage Work out of the box, which incorporates document and email management. So that's where you store all of your critical content, and the information is stored using Microsoft Office applications. For example, you open up Outlook, you're also opening up iManage, and you're able to quickly file emails away within a single click. Additionally, from a document management perspective, you open up Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Adobe Reader. They effectively act as the document management aspects of the system. So directly from Word, you can check the versions attributed to a particular document. You can see the timelines of the full audit trail, and there's many more features that we can sort of touch on in today's session. But as I said, we are going to focus more on how Teams can integrate within your existing workflows. So when we also adopt the CoFlow solution, we're also adding a few different aspects to iManage, and that includes contract lifecycle management, so the management of contracts end to end. So you can take contracts through a document assembly process, where instead of having to create contracts manually or documents manually, you can use the Smart Document Assembly module to automatically pull in different clauses depending from your clause library, depending on the answers to a predefined set of questions. So instead of having to, I guess, create your contracts more manually by cutting and pasting clauses, you can automate that using CoFlow's Smart Document Assembly module. And then once you've created the document, it can then go through a task management process where you can add different elements of the workflow. So for example, it could go to a particular lawyer within the firm who can make any amendments as required. Then at that point, it might need to go over to the salesperson within the company, and then it might need to route over to the external client, who is then expected to sign the contract. Now, it does fully integrate with all of the popular digital signature solutions out of the box, such as DocuSign, Adobe Sign, and there are a couple of others that it integrates with out of the box too. So that's sort of general workflow with relation to your contracts, but it also offers matter management, so the ability to see any file notes that might relate to a matter, any key dates that relate to the file, and so on and so forth. You can also pull together all of the metadata from both iManage and from CoFlow, because you can apply additional metadata using CoFlow, and you can present yourself with powerful dashboard reports and analytics. All of these reports are completely configurable, yeah, it's very, very useful for the clients that use it. And then lastly, just on, I guess, the CoFlow elements, you've also got legal request management. So effectively, you can provide access to a portal to all users within the organization who may not use your iManage system, but you can expose this element of the CoFlow system to everybody, so they can start raising their legal requests through a proper process and a proper channel instead of email requests. And I think some organizations also use systems such as Jira or ServiceNow for legal requests, but those systems are not really designed for that. It's just they're more focused on support queries and things like that. And some companies have tried to sort of bespoke that solution to make legal requests work, but CoFlow focuses on legal request management more specifically. But that's a summary of iManage and CoFlow and how they work together. But as I said, today's focus is going to be on Teams and how we can integrate the collaboration platform with both iManage and with CoFlow. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Matteo, who will take you through the demonstration today. So I'm just going to hand over control. But as I said, any questions, please feel free to ask throughout. I'll be monitoring the questions and we'll be asking those at the end.
Thanks so much, Dan. I'm just busy ensuring that we've got the link working correctly and that everyone can see my screen. Let's just show. Screen 2. Let me know if, Dan, if it's showing screen 2 at the moment.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Fantastic. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and we hope this session will be quite illuminating in what you can do with integrating CoFlow with Teams and you know, having more data and metadata and dashboarding at your disposal. So firstly, I'd like to start off with a few of the issues that we face currently. We've gone into this world of work, and this world of work, remote work, has meant that Teams has had a massive uptake. But in our experience, the creation and management of Teams, specifically with need-to-know security, it sometimes gets dropped. So a team gets created to share data between both the legal teams within an organization and the business users. But the security between the two systems is not managed. So you may have a user added to a team, but they move departments and then they're not removed from that team. So what we try to do with our integrations is link everything together, a central place of management of both staffing lists and data in relation to matters that we're working on. And so the first thing I'm going to start off with is jumping straight into our iManage interface. So right now you can see I'm in a standard iManage interface. We have a Certus and we have a bunch of matters underneath the Certus. So the first things you'll notice is there are two new buttons. We have a CoFlow Actions and we have an overview screen. When we go into the overview screen for a Certus, this gives us all the information about a Certus. We can see a Certus is the entity type vendor, then active entity. We have all the information around a Certus that we need, the address, the primary contact details, etc. And we can see for the client level, there hasn't been a team, a plan, or OneNote created yet. And when we're talking teams, we don't limit ourselves to just a team in Microsoft Teams. We are talking the whole Office 365 environment. We integrate plans with Planner and we integrate OneNote so that all the information we capture around a matter or workspace is captured in one place. The next thing, as Dan said, is that we have the ability to add tasks. We can add tasks on a matter level and we can add tasks on a client level. So right now I'm showing client level and we have different views, calendar views, as well as summary views of the tasks that we have at hand. Next, we have an overview of all the contracts. These are contracts and the contracts in their different life cycle stages. So are they in effect? Are they busy being drafted? Are we waiting for signatures? What is the status and where are they sitting? And so all the details around a contract are showing within the screen. So far, we don't have to leave iManage to see quite a lot of data in relation to both the entity and the matter. And just a reminder what an entity could be. An entity could be a client, it could be a vendor, it could be a business unit internally, it could be numerous different aspects. In this case, a Certus is a vendor entity in our demo environment. I'm now going to enter the Certus test matter. Immediately, the matter is being created. It has all the relevant litigious folder structure that we have created for the specific matter. And you'll note there's a few extra icons that show here. So we have view teams, the matter OneNote, and the matter planner in relation to this specific matter. Firstly, I'm going to start off with a quick overview again. This is an overview on the matter level. We have all the details about this matter. Who's the legal advisor? Who was the legal matter instructed by in terms of business? Which department is it in relation to? And what type of matter is it? It's a compliance litigation matter. Great. And the external firm is Norton Rose Fulbright. And we do have a matter created and we can see all the users that currently have access on this matter, whether they're internal users to the legal team, external to the legal team, or external to the organization. Okay, we also have the ability to type file notes. And so anyone working on this matter has the ability to capture quick file notes and reminders in relation to the specific matter. Or we have the ability to create tasks and more in-depth reminders that get notified to the end user when something comes up. So currently on this matter, I've got three matter tasks. If we go into the calendar, we can see which dates they spread over. And if we move into the summary view, we can actually see the different views here. So we've got one upcoming in the next 7 days, one that's overdue because it's due for today, and all 3 incomplete that are showing in the view. And we can very easily just move this to show I only want to see upcoming in the next 7 days and overdue. So again, at this point in time, we have not had to leave iManage to get a wealth of data that we might not usually have at our disposal. And next, we're going to jump into the actual Teams environment. So how does a team get created? So I'm going to go into a matter that does not yet have a team. Let's take, for instance, this IP matter. And if we go view Teams, it immediately pops up. It says, do we want to create a team? Do we want to create a OneNote? And do we want to create a planner? Once we say yes and update, it will now create that team with the correct security that's currently been applied, either on the current ACLs or in CoFlow itself. It takes a few minutes to create, so I'm going to move on to the team we've already created. So in this view now, we have different options. We can view teams, we can view a matter OneNote or matter planner in relation to this specific matter. And when this is created, it in fact automatically creates the team and adds it to the user's view. And there's many different options. So we can open that team up in Teams and that will open up, or we could open it up in the web view. So what I've done now is I've opened up this Certus team. If we open it up on the right-hand side here, you'll see that we have the Certus matter test. And in this team, we immediately have the iManage link to that team location, to that specific matter. We also have OneNote and planner links for this specific matter. So if I sign in now, it will take me to that matter. There it is. If we look at the overview, we will in fact see all the file notes as well, and in a moment that will pop up, and the tasks, etc. And we also have the link to the entire matter. Again, we have a OneNote link and a planner link, and all of these are linked to this specific matter. So if we type any notes in here, and if in the planner we add a new task item, that task will be added, and it will also appear when we click the button from within iManage. Just before we continue, I'm also going to show you who has access to this team at the moment. So currently, we have myself as a member, Amy as a member, and the service account as the owner. So what I'm going to do next is open up that team and open up that OneNote and planner straight from our iManage view. And what's wonderful about this is it opens it straight into Planner with that demo task there, and our notes or any recordings that we may have done are showing in OneNote. And the beauty is the security applies to both OneNote, Planner, and Teams. So if we remove an individual from this matter security, it will remove their access from this matter plan, and it will remove their access from this OneNote. So the next step that I'll take is I will add security. And this is now when we leave iManage and we move into the CoFlow environment. Now, as Dan has already said, CoFlow is comprised of numerous different modules. Those modules include legal request management, entity and matter management, contract management, and the dashboards and reporting, alongside the document assembly. So from this view, I can go into our matters view, have a search for Certus, and you'll note we have numerous different Certus matters already. We even have related matters. Now, creating sub-matters is not currently possible in iManage. When making use of CoFlow, we can add unlimited sub-matters to our matters in iManage. One of the other big areas or issues that we face as corporate legal teams is the amount of data we can capture when creating a new matter. So when creating a matter now, we can create that matter through CoFlow, and we get different options for creating the matter. If we choose a commercial matter, for instance, there's certain fields that apply that are relevant to commercial. If we move to litigation, we can see a risk and exposure tab is added, and now we can add data around insurance values and operational and reputational risk. These values are all 100% customizable by the business that we are implementing for. And at the same time, any field that gets added to any of these forms is immediately reportable on. So if I go create a matter now with a certain insurance value or value claimed in this field, it will automatically appear in our risk registers or our reporting, which I'll take you through a little later. So what we did was we already created a test matter for Certus. As soon as we hover over, it gives us all the details, the matter instruction, all the same information that you saw from within iManage. If we look in the overview screens, we have all the exact same data. There's my note 1 about this matter, all the tasks that are running in this matter, and any contracts, which there are none yet. And we have a direct link to Teams and straight to that matter from this view. But we may want to edit the security. At this point, we manage the staffing list. So here you can see we created a team, a planner, and a OneNote, and we do not want to archive this matter yet. Dan is an external user, and he actually shows within our view. So if you use Azure Active Directory and you make use of guests in that Azure Active Directory, we can allow those guests to appear in CoFlow as well. So I've now added Dan as a guest. I'm going to save the staffing list, and in about 2 minutes, his access will appear on Microsoft Teams, and he will then be able to access that matter as a guest. And this allows us to share files with Dan in relation to the matter that we're working on, whether he's outside of legal and doesn't have access to the matter in iManage, or whether he's an external counsel that we are trying to work with and collaborate with, but we want all our documents stored within our iManage environment. The next thing I'm going to do is take us a little bit away from Teams and take us into some more of the detail that we work with. So we've created a matter. The matter's got a team assigned, all the data's there. But what if we need a document or there's a legal request that's come through to our teams? We have a legal request portal. This portal can be assigned onto a intranet of your choice, and the view can allow users to make requests for certain tasks. And usually those high volume, low value tasks or document creation that you may want to manage automatically, saving your internal team a lot more time to focus on the more important aspects of their business. So when I submit a request, as a business user, I get different options. I could either do an ad hoc legal request, which is more a matter type request, and we can choose the type of information that we need, the priority, when the due date is, and the commencement date, and who the legal advisor is. Or alternatively, we can do a document request or contract request. And as we go through these different requests, we have different screens that appear. So if I choose a non-disclosure agreement, there's a certain set of fields. If I choose a standard services agreement, we have a whole bunch of other fields that are required. Or if we had to, for instance, do a supply and operating agreement, another set of fields in relation to that specific environment. And so what we find in organizations is that when they're working on complex contract requests, there's a lot of time wasted when there should be supporting documentation. And so what we can do now is enforce certain documentation. So for instance, if there's suretyship required and an ID for the individuals required, that field is enforced, and these IDs are then stored in iManage alongside the correct metadata, with the field marking it as a GDPR document, and if we need to report on the data that we have in iManage from a GDPR perspective, we can do that. So what I'm going to do now is actually submit a request, and I'm going to take you through an example process. That process is the request as a business user to legal for a contract. So we'll do a contract request. We are going to do the most common one, a non-disclosure agreement. The contracting party will be a certus. Sorry, let's actually use cooperative computing, and the contracting part, the counterparty will be a certus. The commencement date is today. It's a duration of 3 years, and here is where the smart document assembly comes in. So they are simple questions to just answer yes or no to in this case, which will add and remove clauses or entire annexes to an agreement. In this case, we do want to add a restraint and non-solicitation clause, and we want each party to be responsible for their own costs. So what I'm going to do now is press save. The next option that we have as a legal team is to review that data. Do we want to approve it, or do we need more information? Or do we want to assign it to an individual in our legal team to work on? So there's a unique request number that comes through, and we can see the data and we're happy, and we will approve it. As you can see now, it's moved it onto the contract drafting stage. And if we go view this contract, you can see it's in request. So it will soon move to the next stage. So what do we mean by stages? And when we were in iManage earlier and we looked at this certus overview, you saw we had contracts in different stages in this environment. So if we go into this legal flow overview and we go into the contracting dashboard, what you'll note is we have all the stages on top and in a pie chart over here, and we have the statuses of the contract over here. So I'm not interested in what's in authoring at the moment. I'm interested in maybe not even what's signed. I'd like to see how many contracts are ended, in review and approval, and in requested. And if we drill down in these and we click ended, you'll see that we have the stage ended, but we have different statuses that they were in when they were ended, and we can provide answers and questions around that. Again, on the contract screen, we have the different contract types that we have. So you can see we predominantly demo on NDAs, but we've got 48 services agreements, a bunch of lease agreements, some supply and operating agreements, and some distribution agreements. And any recent contract activity or contracts expiring soon. So a very quick dashboard of what do we need to focus on and what stage are most of our contracts in at any one time. So if we go back to that contract stage, all the different contracts that we have, and the request has changed color. It's now moved on to the next stage, which is the authoring stage, and it's in drafting. And what's happened now is it's actually saved that document into the draft folder in the certus general matter, and it's pre-populated with all the data from either your ERP system or from CoFlow into the contract itself, including the restraint clause and the costing that we asked it to appear, and all the addresses that have come from that entity or vendor information. On the back end, what you're not seeing is that we are also receiving notifications. These notifications can be done through many different ways, but we received a notification that a new request has come through, and we also received a notification that legal counsel now need to review the first draft of this document. And so we've already done our review in our preview screen within iManage. We didn't even have to leave iManage. We can have a quick preview in iManage. Are we happy with it to go to business at this point in time? Yes, we are. So let's go complete that task. These tasks can either be in Planner or they can be email tasks, as I'm showing you now. So what I'll do now is add some comments. Please check the reg number. So we're happy to proceed as legal counsel to business, and I'm just highlighting which user I am or role I am at any one time by brackets here and by this denotation here. And I'm going to press add, and you'll see my note, and complete this task. As soon as I've pressed completed on this task, the contract status moves through, and the color, the look and feel, and the stage all changes immediately. So immediately we know any pink stages are sitting with the business, not with us. So it allows us to focus on the work that we are in control of and where status or stage is sitting with us. In a moment, I'll then receive an email as the business user or the business requester, which has just come through, to complete a task. So as the business requester, I open this task. Now, I might not actually have access to iManage, which is the case in most of the businesses that we deal with. So we have the notes. I can see it says, please check the reg number. Perfect, I'll do that. And I have the option to now download this non-disclosure NDA. So I've downloaded it locally, opened it up, and I need to review the registration number. And it's just open on my other page. We'll pull it across. There we go. We see there's the note. All the details is there. All the numbered lists are kept correctly as well. So if we now need to tab in and tab out, all our numbered lists keep, and you can see how they update immediately as we start playing. So we're copying data from a third-party contract. The house styles, the look and feel, they all keep the same when we paste into this document. Here we have the Certus component. We've got their registration number, and I'd like to add some changes. I'm going to put big demo in red here so we can see the changes. Now, a reminder, as a business user, I might not have access to iManage, but we still want the changes as the legal team showing in iManage. So as the business user, I've completed my change. I browse and upload the document, and I can add some comments, either document comments that will appear in the comments within iManage or in the file notes. So as the business user, happy to proceed to signing, updated the reg number, and add that into the timeline. And I now complete this task. So what's going to happen next is it's in fact going to open up, change the stage, and update the version. Now it's version 1 of the contract. In a moment, that contract is going to open up in version 2, and the status has changed to ready for signing. So if we go preview the contract now, immediately it's in version 2. You had to do nothing. If there were comments typed in for the document comments, they'd appear here, and we see the demo note that we put in there is showing in our demonstration. So the next step that we do is it's time to send it for signing. Now, this is quite a painful process mostly. It means downloading out of iManage, uploading it into the signature solution, waiting for everyone to sign, re-downloading it out of the signing solution and uploading it into iManage and marking it as a signed version. So what we do is we create a workspace that has different statuses attached to the folder. So right now we have draft, execution, and sign. So when we look in draft, there's our version 2, the NDA 9, and it's currently in the draft folder with the draft metadata. Once the document's signed, it will pull down the signed version and place it in the signed folder. So if we're looking for all signed agreements with the Certus, it happens immediately. So let's take you through that process. I'm within CoFlow at the moment, and by the way, this can be done with a right click on a document straight from within iManage as well. I'm within CoFlow. I open up the document details. I can see all the file notes that have happened. We're happy to proceed to signing, fantastic. And we can go actions and send for signing. What this does is really smart. Most of the people on the call right now will in fact deal with what we call delegations of authority. And a delegation of authority will allow us to sign or not sign contracts based on maybe the type of contract it is, the value of the contract, etc. Because the contract was built from CoFlow, those delegations of authority immediately apply to the signing process. So when the company signatory is selected, it will actually show only the signatories that are allowed to sign this specific contract. In this case, I'm only going to do an internal signatory. I'm not going to enable the one-time PIN authentication because for demo purposes, that's a bit of a nightmare. But we have the ability to add both any types of signatures, including digital and electronic and advanced electronic signatures, and enable the one-time PIN authentication. I'm going to press save and just add myself as a signatory for now and send it for signing. What it's going to do now is actually take the document automatically from iManage, upload that document into DocuSign, and either pre-populate the signing locations. In our case, we like to demo where we can place the signing fields, and we send it for signing. So we didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to leave our environment. It automatically took us into DocuSign. It's uploaded the contract straight for us. So it's nice and easy. Either we can automatically have the signing fields appear, or we can manually place them on where we need them and send this for signing. Now, CoFlow is tightly integrated with the signing solutions. And what that means is that in a moment, this is going to update and it's going to tell us that we are waiting for signatures, and it's going to tell us how many people we are waiting for signatures. So that takes about a minute to appear. In the meantime, the contracts come through. We can review that contract as if I'm the counterparty or the internal signatory. And I'm going to go ahead and sign. So here you can see it's waiting for signature for myself, and it keeps polling DocuSign. So you don't need to go look what's happening on a specific contract. And again, if we were to go into our overview within the Certus matter, we would see it's waiting for the signature. It actually may have already come through. It's already showing there. So let's have a quick look if that's come through. It's taking a moment. Sorry, that must have been a previous demo. In a moment, that will appear and the signed version will download. So let's go back and have a look that the execution stays in. The contract is completed, and there we go. It's moved into, in effect, it tells me exactly when the counterparty signed, and it shows how it was signed. It was electronically signed or physically signed. If we go preview this document now, you'll notice it is the signed document. It's in iManage. The demo note I placed in there and the signature is already there. And if we look at where it is in the actual workspace, what you'll note is it's in fact now in the signed workspace. There's our demo NDA 9, and it's automatically been moved to signed. So reducing the amount of effort for the individuals in the organization. So that is the process flow for a legal request. If we needed to automatically capture the content of the contract into the contract tasks or obligations, that is also possible, and those details for reminders to follow up can go to business and so on. So we've spoken about the requests, the document assembly, and the contracts. What type of reporting and dashboarding do we offer? So I've shown you the contract dashboarding, but we also offer quite in-depth matter dashboards that can be customized depending on the strategic initiatives of the organization. So we've had clients that have a number of vendor agreements outstanding, but have started work with their vendors, and they want to embark on a process of reducing the number of vendors they're doing work with without signed contracts. And so what they do, it's historical, of course, it didn't happen recently, is they create a dashboard specifically for that and for those team members. And we can add multiple dashboards in tabs at the top here for each team member, depending on what their roles and responsibilities are. As management of the team, we have a view of all of the matters by legal advisor, so we can kind of see the workload of each legal advisor. If we click on Cornet, for instance, you'll see he only has 2 matters he's working on, and we can go review those matters straight in iManage. We go back to that matter dashboard. We also have a view on our matters by category. So how many litigation, commercial, knowledge management matters do we have in our environment? And it will filter down on those. any upcoming tasks that we've created, and which firms are working on our matters. And here we can see a list of firms, and if we needed to, for instance, click on Norton Rose Fulbright, it would take us to all matters that Norton Rose Fulbright is working on, and there we can see one where there's an insurance value provisioned of 1.5 million. So immediately we have a view of certain data that we need. And we can add and remove graphs to those dashboards with simple editing, and we can move the dashboards around, and any data that we have on the matter level or on the contract level, we can pull into dashboards that are relevant to our KPIs. Taking it one step further, let's go to the matter screen and talk about some executive reporting that we can do. Now, mostly when we're trying to get data across many matters and contracts, we need to go to different systems to get that data. What we can do with CoFlow is pull that data in reports immediately. Click on the reports button. I can either look at saved reports or create an ad hoc report. And the ad hoc report is a report where we can pull certain data immediately. So I'd like the entity name, I'd like the insurance value provisioned, I'd like the law firm name that's working on our matter, the legal advisor, i.e. the owner of the matter category, department, and instructed by, status, and matter type. Okay, and if there's any operational risk, etc. So from here, you'll see I've even got drop downs within these fields. So firstly, what I'm going to do is export a report. It's almost instantaneous. It's going to have a lot of data because we haven't narrowed it down yet, but it's exported all those matters into an Excel spreadsheet that we can send to the exec to report on, or if they need to put into the risk registers. So here we have the details on that.
I was just going to say, Matteo, we're running out of time. We had a 45-minute session booked in for today. I know there's so much to show, and everything that you've shown is, at least in my opinion, very, very good. But I just don't think we've got any more time to cover any other aspects of the system, sadly. Otherwise, we won't have time for questions.
No problem, Dan. I was literally on the last thing. So basically, okay, we have all the reports, and after the reports, we can filter and narrow those down. So if we just wanted, for instance, Norton Rose Fulbright, it would show us only matters that Norton Rose Fulbright are working on as well. And that's a high-level overview of CoFlow. So Dan, now it's right into the questions.
Thank you. Well, thanks a lot for that presentation there, Matteo. We did have a few questions that came through. One of the questions that came through is you took people through the process of working a contract through a predefined process. So within that process, how does Teams fit into that particular process once it's signed, for example?
So Dan, that's a very good question. It depends on what the business requirements are and storage location. We have some clients that use iManage with the view-only license for storing the final version. Or alternatively, we can push that into their records management system or into SharePoint for viewing by the business users.
Okay, thank you. We've got another question. So in addition to Microsoft Teams, does it integrate with any of the other Microsoft products outside of sort of your standard integrations, such as your Office suite of products and such like?
So at this point in time, we have the ability to integrate with Planner, OneNote, Teams, and in about the next 2 months, we'll have the integration for files in the Teams environment. And then, Dan, we also have the ability to create matters straight from within Outlook if we need to.
Okay, great, thank you.
And again, all the functionality you see in here is available within the iManage desktop for Windows.
Great stuff. Okay. Another question here. So once the matter has been completed, will it then delete the associated team?
That's absolutely an option. It can also archive the team. So the option in Teams is to either archive it or delete it, and that depends on your business rules. But when we archive a team, you'll see the option at the top here in your teams. What we don't like doing is adding everyone to a team all the time and their teams get clogged. So we actually add it to, if we need to archive it, to the hidden teams, or we can add it to hidden teams by default and only important matters add to your team. So it's up to you, or we can delete the team if required as well.
Great stuff. Another question. So with the, I think this is more of a licensing based question, but if somebody is using iManage today, they're not using CoFlow, do they require the complete package, so iManage and CoFlow, do they require the complete solution to switch on the Teams integration feature?
No, Dan, we have 3 packages. We have the Essentials, Professional, and Enterprise, and I believe they only need the Essentials, if I'm not mistaken, for the Teams integration and the signing integration, by the way.
Okay, great stuff. Yeah, well, I think that about wraps it up for today. It's 45 minutes on the dot. I hope that everybody found today's session useful. We can follow up separately with any of the remaining questions. So apologies if we didn't get around to your question. But thanks a lot for providing the demo today, Matteo. If you'd like to reach out to my colleague Josh, he'd be happy to help with any remaining questions that you might have. Also, more than happy to book in a separate session where we could potentially make the demonstration even more relevant by using real data. I'm not saying we use confidential data, but a process that might be more pertinent to the way that you work as an organization. Either way, I again hope you found it very useful, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.